Welcome everyone to Health Coach TV. I'm your host, Dr. Shauna Menard, and you are going to love this episode. Welcome, Mary.
Oh, thank you. Good to be here.
Awesome. Well, if you are a woman who's been struggling with your weight or energy, if you're kind of like in midlife, maybe you're an empty nester, you're absolutely going to love this. We got some video to share for you right up front. So stay tuned. You're going to enjoy this. So let me give Mary a proper introduction. After 30 years as a wife and mom, Mary Hopkins knows the competing agendas that women face. She is a certified master health and life coach, empowering midlife moms to lose weight, regain energy, and find their voice. Mary considers midlife the time for women to embrace living their lives on purpose. She lives on the banks of the Mississippi River with her husband, Jamie, in Muscatine, Iowa. So welcome, Mary.
Dr. Shauna, thank you so much for having me. I'm really thrilled to be here.
Well, I'm really excited for this interview. I've watched you grow and seen what a tremendous difference you're making in the lives of your clients. They love you. They're just absolutely fabulous. The transformations are incredible. And so I thought we'd do something a little bit different. I know that recently some of your clients were in a video where they shared a little bit of what it was like. And I think that's going to be the fastest way for people to get an idea about you and what this is like, but also be inspired about what can happen. And I know what's not in the video is your before and after pictures. So a lot of times people see you and you're like, oh, she's always been like this. Is not the case. So we're going to hear more about her story. So stay tuned. We're going to hear from Mary in this video, but we're going to talk afterwards about where was she before, what was her journey like before, and how did she get on the other side of it? How did she lose all that weight? How did she get energy? How did she get to like really live her dream life? So I'm excited for this. So thanks, Mary.
Oh, thank you.
All right, let me share my screen here and see if we can bring this up for people. You guys are gonna love it. It's not very long. It's 3 or 4 minutes here. Just one moment.
I reached 40 and all of a sudden I kind of felt like things are sneaking up on me. I gained some weight. I was always lacking some direction and there were too many things coming at me. I want to be healthier. I want to be happier. I want to be more fit. I want to have more energy. Didn't have a lot of energy, would hit about 3 o'clock and be tired and sluggish. All these different things. And you feel like, well, which one do I focus on first? Just kind of knew I needed a little bit of a reboot.
I think oftentimes as women, we believe that getting older means putting on weight. It means not necessarily feeling like ourselves anymore. And I'm really happy to tell you that that's just not true. It's become a societal norm, but that doesn't mean that it has to be the case for you. I'll turn 50 this year, and I can confidently say I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm stronger than I ever have been. I have more stamina and my focus is better than it ever has been. You can have that too.
I guess the first thing I noticed was all the energy that I seemed to regain. I even had people stop and say like, where's all your energy coming from? And it never feels overwhelming. And it's amazing how easy it is in the beginning to reach your goals on a weekly basis.
I started Life on Purpose because I was experiencing so many gains in my health. And it's something that I'm excited to share with my clients.
I had a couple hesitations before signing up for the program, and one was probably time, just worried about taking away time from my family. But really, I feel like that turned into me with all this added energy, only gave more time to my family. I was worried about the cost, but my husband said a wonderful thing to me. He said, I have no problem investing in you. And what a gift. That was such a moment for me. And it was like, wow, yeah, I wish we all could feel that way. There's nothing wrong with investing in yourself. We should all invest in ourselves. I kind of worried, maybe it would feel like a diet and rules, but again, it was like the opposite. It was a lot of fun and kind of brought like a variety of new things into my life. So I love that. I thought to myself, is this really going to work? Is this really going to make a difference in my life? I feel so much better now after having worked with Mary than I ever have in my whole life. And these are things that I will carry with me forever.
I think that we've all bought into a belief system that eating healthy means giving up enjoyment of food, of fun with friends, of time out, and that's just not true. In fact, I'm eating more whole foods than I ever have in my life before, and I can say without a doubt that we are eating the tastiest food of our lives. I have a proven system that works. I'm only getting older all the time, and I can confidently say I'm living free of any kind of pain. I don't have any hesitation or considerations when I think about just living life. You know, there's no back pain, there's no ankle, knee, any kind of pain that limits me at all. And you can have that too.
That's fabulous, Mary. You know, your clients, I mean, it was so great to hear from a couple of them, to just kind of get an inside track from people who are in there. Like, I think a lot of times people wonder, well, what's it really like? And it's fabulous is what it's like, but they don't know that at the beginning and they're a little hesitant. So that's awesome. So let's dive into this. Like, you know, how did you get in, you know, into this line of work? What happened? Tell us about your story a little bit.
Sure. I found myself much heavier than I wanted to be. And I did not want to go back to the program that I had used before. I had gone a really restrictive route, and it made my life quite small. The weight came off, but I found myself feeling socially awkward repeatedly because I had such a long list of bad foods that I couldn't eat, a much shorter list of good foods. And that often didn't work at parties and at restaurants. I also just was constantly tracking what I'd eaten, trying to figure out what else it was that I could possibly have that day. Because food was a companion for me. Food was a reward for me. And so that just really restricted my lifestyle.
I think a lot of people feel that way. You know, they're used to either whether it's counting calories, and they kind of go back and forth on this and try to like work it off. Like they just exercise to, you know, like punishing yourself to sort of, you know, undo some of those things. Yeah. And I think a lot of people can become really obsessed with food. You know, and that kind of runs, I was going to say ruins, and I mean both, runs their life, ruins their life.
Yes, something that I can relate to. Yes.
Yeah, for sure. And then in your journey, what was it like in terms of, did you notice, were you making a link between sort of, so there's the weight issue. Were there other symptoms or things that you noticed that it's like, gosh, you know, what I eat actually matters? And you know, the saying, you are what you eat. Were things starting to dawn on you there? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I was a good bit of a mess. So I was able to connect the dots between the headaches that I regularly had, the normal cycle of being awake so many times during the night. Sleep just was really a stressor for me. My hormones were out of whack. And of course, when you're not sleeping well and your hormones are a mess, you're not great in relationships. Your irritability is high. And that was very true for me as well. So I started paying attention to the food that I was eating, and I could easily draw direct correlations between what I was experiencing in my body and what I had just eaten, or let's say what I had not eaten. So it was easy to begin to connect those dots and then start to see a way through.
Yeah, although had years of kind of yo-yo dieting and you know, that cycle, and then do you remember what it was? Was there a turning point moment for you where it all of a sudden, because you know you're repeating the cycles, and was it just like, was it one of those times when you'd really lost and then gained it back, or what was the thing that said, all right, this is not working anymore? Like this whole dieting and starving myself and exercising like crazy is not actually working. What was the, you know, was there a defining moment at all for you?
Yeah, I realized a couple of things all somewhat simultaneously. I realized I didn't recognize myself when I looked in the mirror anymore. And how was that the case when I was eating healthy food and I
Yeah.
was exercising all the time? And around the same time, my father was diagnosed with cancer. And this is something that I hope viewers can't relate to, but I think too many of us can find it something that we can relate to. And I started thinking about the difference between being lean
Mhm,
and being healthy,
mhm.
because these two are not the same thing. And I had spent my life always pursuing a fit appearance, not necessarily a healthy body.
Yeah.
And so I realized that it was time to go about things entirely differently.
Yeah, I remember making that correlation when I was a young girl, actually. And
Mm.
one of my brother's friends was his mom, what ran marathons, and she would exercise like crazy, and she had like an okay an okay weight,
Mhm.
but she was mainly like always on the run, and no doubt also stressed. She was a single mom, 3 kids, and but this was her idea. And I remember just her drinking diet drinks back then. I don't know if it was Diet Pepsi or Diet Coke, something. She was drinking a lot of diet drinks back then. This would be like in the late 70s, early 80s, somewhere in there, and just drinking these. And then she ended up getting cancer and died. And I remember thinking,
Wow.
like, you know, my mom didn't really like exercise like that, but she was always active. She was always walking and moving and going up and down stairs at home and just functional. And but not the diet drinks. That wasn't She wasn't trying to diet. And so you're right. There's so much. There's more than one right answer, but I think there's so much in that. I mean, I think it's not like I've never had a diet drink in my entire life. I haven't had one in decades, but it's not like I never did. And I think, for viewers, wherever they are, when you know better, you can do better. And so I know one of the things that was the shifting point for you, you said like guilt trips were out, having fun is in. So that's part of the deal. Tell us a little bit about like when you got that new approach, like what's it like now to have your weight? Is it like you got to be just really like diligent, or tell us a little bit about what this looks like now for you?
Yeah, life is good now. I'm eating a lot of food every day. I'm not on one of those rice cake programs. There's a lot of delicious food on my plate. I'm never hungry, and I find myself really pretty able to maintain a very healthy body weight without giving it a whole lot of thought, because my thought is on something else. My focus is on really approaching life in a healthy way. And that means big picture life. That's not just what's on my plate. It's what is happening around me, what's happening inside of me. So that has resulted in the easiest maintenance of my life so far, at a time where society and media would say I should be really struggling to maintain a healthy body weight. At
Yeah.
my age, and at this season of life, nothing's supposed to be going well for me. And yet everything is going so well for me physically and emotionally.
Yeah, and it's part of your tagline about living life on purpose, and it's all part of that. So good. And also at a time in the world where a lot of stresses are there, and people could use also those as an excuse because of stress, and making it more difficult to do that. And certainly a lot of people are gaining more weight, being more stressed, having more health challenges nowadays. So tell us a little bit more about that pivot point. I think you mentioned something about no longer recognizing yourself, or like what some of those wake up calls, and just some of the things that you realize, okay, in order to to get different results, you have to have a different approach. So what were some of the things that were this new approach, and tell us a little bit about like that?
Well, I stopped thinking that one size fits all.
Mhm.
And I realized that I'm a unique individual. So, therefore, what is working for someone else may or may not have any bearing on what's good for me. Um, paying attention to digestion means that, my body should not feel in distress at any time. So really tracking how foods were resonating as they worked through my body, paying attention to my energy, and then calculating what was the food that I've been eating that resulted in energy? What am I drinking or not drinking? It really just listening to my body, and then giving myself nourishing foods. I spent so much of my life eating not food. The label said that it was healthy, but now I know I was ingesting so many chemicals through processed foods, and just cleaning my plate of the processed foods and really upping the volume of whole, natural, beautiful, colorful foods has made this transformation just outstandingly obvious to everyone that observes me, and just easy and fun for me to live out and for my clients too.
Yeah, that's awesome. And you really, the best foods have no label. So it's
True.
easier
Very
to read.
very true.
Grabbing a vegetable or a piece of fruit is, and so yeah, exactly. So is that why you decided to get into health coaching, and is that what had you decide to pursue this and help others?
I've always worked in people-centered industries, a long history of nonprofits in my career, but health coaching just by far surpasses everything that I've done, because this is allowing me to care for the entire person. When you are healthy, you get to be you. When you are not healthy, everything is in the way. You don't get to be you because we're focused on appointments, we're focused on meds, we're focused on a lack of energy, we're focused on how bad the sleep was, how bad we feel, all of that. So for my clients, I want for them to be able to get out of their own way and just have the health that facilitates them really getting what they want in life. I want them recognizing, again, I'm serving midlife moms. These are women who have cared for everyone else, and they've done it quite joyfully. They've been happy to do it. And now they're waking up realizing, wait a second, is this all I get? And I'm here to tell them, no, you get so much more than that. What is it that you want? Because you can have it.
Yeah, and it's their time to shine, and really empowering these women to find their voice, because maybe they were kind of in the background, and putting I think a lot of women out there, especially women out there, a lot of moms especially, but a lot of women out there can relate to that, of putting everybody else's needs first, and then it becomes such a default habit that even
Yes.
when the kids have left home, they're still kind of doing that, or they still don't even know how to make themselves a priority. If you look around, nobody else is, being a healthy weight, having energy, being in the best shape ever, having the time of their lives. They don't see that, so they start to think it's not possible. And I think one of the things I love about you, Mary, is that you are walking your talk, and you are a shining light and example for your clients to say, see, you can do this, you can do this, you can do this. And that is tremendously inspiring for them, because they know, hey, you weren't always like that. You had excess weight, you were scared to go out in the bathing suit on the beach and stuff like that. Those were scary things. But now it's a 180. And so to give people that hope and inspiration that you can do it too, and to really honor the uniqueness of that person, like you honored the uniqueness of yourself. So I think that's just fantastic. Tell us a little bit about how do you work with your clients? What does this look like? What do you do?
Oh, working with clients is so wonderful today. Primarily I'm working virtually with folks, so it's extremely accessible to anyone, anywhere. It's time efficient. There's no wasted commute time. I walk my clients step by step through a program that is designed to deliver the results that they want. Most of my clients are dealing with an excess amount of weight. Their energy is just not where they want it to be, not where it should be. Their brain is foggy. They can't think clearly, and they just don't feel like themselves.
Mhm.
So as we work together through really customized, close, direct support, they lose the weight and they know how to do it. They get their energy back and they start remembering exactly what the things were that they cared about before all the weight found them in the first place.
Mhm.
Again, this is the best time of their lives. This is supposed to be the time that's all about them. And my clients know how to get exactly what they want. It's been incredible to see my clients achieve their goals. The program delivers results. It has for me, and it has for all the folks that I've worked with. It's just been amazing.
Yeah, it's tremendous. I mean, getting results is the most important thing. When it comes to, now weight loss is a bit, weight loss, energy, those finding their purpose, all of those things are integral to what the work that you do. But weight loss is certainly a big component. It's what at least attracts a lot of people to you, because they can see that, hey, your program works, it's worked for you, it's worked for your clients, and they're hopeful that it will work for them too. When it comes to weight loss, there's a ton of different ideas out there about that. What would you say is the biggest myth when it comes to weight loss? Because you've got results. So from your perspective, what would you say is one of the biggest myths?
Oh, I really think it's the one that I fell into, and it's that it's got to be highly restrictive. You've got to be a slave to an exercise regimen, and those things just aren't true.
Right.
There are many options for you. It's not one size fits all. I share some foundational principles with my clients that are broadly applicable and customizable, and they can find themselves in those steps and really love the way that they are losing weight.
That's awesome. So why is sustained weight loss, not just the up and down, but the sustained
Mhm.
weight loss and the energy so important, do you think?
Oh, I think it's incredibly important because when we're carrying extra weight around on our body, we are putting our body under stress and strain. A lot of times that shows up in the form of pain. Often that's the reason why we start paying attention to something, right?
Yeah.
But we've already been paying a price, because the same type of food and quantity of food that delivers the extra weight is putting the internal functions of the body under the same stress and strain. And
Mhm.
what that means ultimately is that we are speeding ourselves toward a diagnosis of some kind. Disease is more likely to find us. And this is a variety of diseases. Think high blood pressure, think diabetes. There are even some forms of cancer, breathing issues that come along with extra weight. And when you've gone to a doctor and you've received some type of diagnosis, there is no doubt going to be a prescription medication that is issued to you as well. Now we're dealing with the side effects of those medication on top of the excess weight and stress that the body was under in the first place. So it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's not a little bit, it's quite a lot.
Yeah.
And those are the physical effects, but there are social, emotional, relationship hits that you take as well, because it's very difficult to show up as your most gracious, patient, authentic, joyful self when your
Mhm.
body hurts,
Mhm.
and when you really aren't waking up loving your life every day.
Mhm. Yeah, I was talking to someone who was talking about their clients, and when their client is stressed and they have no time, they can't sleep because they're working so hard, and then it starts to uh, seep out into relationships with their children, with their spouse, and so
Mhm.
that it's just, there's this anger and there's this, and sometimes the others don't get the big picture, and kind of they can get offended, and it can really have
Mhm.
some lasting consequences, because they're not taking into account, like, look at the hormonal chaos that's going on within a person, and they're just thinking, well, that person's a jerk, or they don't care, or what have you, and they don't really understand that. And so it does have ripple effects upon all aspects of life, and the
Mhm.
most important aspects of life, because we want to have fun. We want to have a healthy, happy family. We want to have healthy, happy relationships. We want to have work that we enjoy. And if we're not feeling good, yeah. And it's really great, like you say, to get out ahead of it. And it's not about what people look like or a certain number on a scale. It's not like that at all. It's not, I mean, you know, just wear black if you want and look slimmer. But it's not about that. That doesn't hide the inflammation. That doesn't erase the inflammation or the toxicity that's going on. And so to be able to lose weight in a healthy, non-toxic way where you're detoxing is really, really powerful. What are a couple of tips that you could share with our viewers they're listening in? They're like, well, this is really good. And, you know, I see that she gets results for her clients, and definitely I can see that she gets results for herself, which is phenomenal. Good for her. But they're like, okay, I want to start right today doing some things, and what can they do? What would you suggest are some simple things that they can just start being more mindful of?
Sure. Before I share a couple tips, I'll just let everyone know that what I'm about to say is going to sound too good to be true. We're all ready to, you know, suffer, no pain, no gain. And I want you to know that give this a try. It sounds easy, but go ahead and give it a try. It's effective. You can really help yourself just by adding some protein to every meal. Try a lean protein, you know, think fish. Think chicken, maybe something just about the size of the palm of your hand. Don't need a whole lot. What that's going to do is keep you satiated longer. It's going to help you, you know, not launch into that craving cycle, wanting more food quickly. Another thing you can do is get outside and take a walk, you know, 3 times a week. Most of us have some days off from work if we are working full time. So try to target that free time that you've got. Get out in the sunshine. Just enjoy the beauty that's all around you. Another easy thing that you can do is just slow down while you're eating. We look forward to food, right? So let's not rush the process. Set your fork down in between bites. Just go ahead and allow yourself to process that food and enjoy it, smell it, and breathe while you eat. It'll make a tremendous difference.
Yeah, yeah. That's awesome. And, you know, so a couple of things on that. That ability to digest, of your body to digest, it's so important. I noticed that I was recently doing I got behind on things, and I was doing a bunch of Zooms and recordings that I needed to do to catch up, and I wasn't eating. And so it wasn't just about, and in fact, one could argue I was almost starving myself. But that stress and that sleep deprivation, I could notice it in my belly. I was sedentary. I was sitting here, and, you know, it's changeable, and we all go through these ebbs and flows. At least I know that. At least I know the answer is not to like starve myself further. It's to nourish myself and to enjoy and to allow that digestion. And I also know, I remember being at a retreat with Deepak Chopra, and it was a magical 5 days where I literally reversed the clock. Like, I looked 10 years younger at the end of it, but I had cake at lunch every day. But it was all like Ayurveda. We were doing yoga, we were doing meditation, and I sat down to eat, and we were focusing, and I was just like savoring the food. And there was nothing about deprivation. It was about fully being nourished, and my belly vanished. So other times when I was on call years ago and rushing around in the middle of the night and having nothing really to eat, that was a recipe for disaster. So I think stress, and I know that you address stress with people, is a huge reason why they're like clinging on to weight unnecessarily. I know you deal a lot with helping them reset their metabolism and balance their hormones and all of these good things. But these things that she's talking about, getting outside and walking, easy to do, easy not to do, makes a huge difference. Many of us, as we've been sedentary, can tell a difference. It does make a difference whether we're sedentary. We're meant to move. We're meant to ambulate. I like that, setting the fork down. I also know that you have clients that are like plant-based, so that there's like plant-based types of protein. So you don't have to be a meat eater, you know, and generally it's more of I was going to say an afterthought, but I'm going to say more of side dish than the main dish. I think in North America, we tend to think of, what are you having tonight? I'm having chicken or fish or whatever. And we call the meal by the meat, as opposed to, you know, the vegetables. We don't usually say, well, I'm having carrots or I'm having kale tonight. But yeah, those are also important. And, you know, we were talking earlier about, you know, pea protein and how, you know, green peas are a protein too. So there's getting that lean protein in there, even if you're not even if you're vegetarian, you know, you know the value of getting that protein in there as well. So it doesn't have to be meat. What are some of the spin-off benefits that you've seen with your clients? You know, they're going to get the weight loss, they're going to get energy, they're going to sleep better, but anything else that you've noticed as this internal and external transformation occurs? Any other spin-off benefits that you've seen or want to chat about?
Yeah, thanks for asking. That's such a good question. About 100% of the time, in addition to the weight loss, the energy, folks are just happier. Their confidence is increased. They're generally more patient with themselves and with others. They find themselves just having a greater generosity, you know, in their own lives and for the people around them.
Yeah. And I remember you telling me about how the process that you go through with people, where they become, part of this is to let go of the guilt trip, to stop beating yourself up. This is a biggie, because most of us have a lot of self-loathing little thoughts that are in there that are not helpful for us. So you're like, guilt trip is out, fun is in. But when they become less self-critical of themselves and they lose weight, and then there's more to appreciate too. But I know that you were telling me about someone who, like, that had a ripple effect, that actually, you know, she became quite teary and emotional over this. Tell us a little bit about that story.
Yeah, those were definitely tears of joy. I was so moved. She was relating a story to me where it was a work scenario, and she had submitted some work, and the work had been assessed pretty harshly. And she said, you know, in the past, I would have just taken that personally. I would have felt like it was equal to my value as a human. And she said, I just didn't take it that way. I received the information, took what good I could from it. It didn't make me feel any less about myself as a person. And just her overall thought was, this is a result of this weight loss journey that I went on.
Yeah.
And that was just, you know, I call that a payday for me as a health coach. You know, that's when I get paid in a moment like that.
Yeah. It is so huge. They can come in to get a few pounds off, but what they're going to get is so much more than that. And that's really powerful, because if we can realize that who we are is pure wellness, we're perfect just as we are right now. And so that when the daggers come at us and the arrows come at us, as they will, like, not everybody's going to agree with us, or not everybody's going to appreciate our perspective. This is going to happen. That instead of taking that as a hit to your soul, kind of, where you're like, oh, I'm worthless, which often ends up having you in a vat of Haagen-Dazs to try and soothe yourself.
You're exactly right.
Eat on whatever your, you know, drug of choice is, and whether it's ice cream or cookies or alcohol or wine, and instead go, kind of, thank you for sharing. I'm going to take this. I'm standing firmly in my power. This is part of her finding her voice. I appreciate what you're saying. This could be better. This could be better. And it's about this work. It's not about me. I'm still good. This work, could I have done something better? Yes, maybe. Are they maybe seeing something differently than I'm seeing it? Probably. And so you keep that clean, and it doesn't trip you up, which is how this weight loss journey becomes sustainable. And the more that they are able to take on some of these things and be able to be empowered in these situations that are going to come up, in these stressful things that come at them, and to navigate that. The more they zig when they used to zag, they just become a new person. They become a new person that's barely recognizable. And instead of that, victimized, kind of shrinking version of themselves, they can not arrogant, but they can stand firmly in their presence and shine their light and find their voice, and and live the dream life that they're looking for, have the energy to do that, feel good doing it. There's just nothing better. There's just nothing better.
No, and that's why I love what I get to do.
Yeah, it's so fun. I love it. And I know you love what you do. I know your clients love you. And it is such a pleasure, always such a pleasure. You're always looking at how can you make it better for them? How can you give them an even better experience? And you have some fun ideas. If you get a chance, somewhere online, there's a great cooking video of Mary cooking with a couple of her clients in her kitchen. And they have these fun events where she's cooking up stuff, and just so sweet, so loving, and so generous with your time and your knowledge. And I just super appreciate you, Mary. So thank you.
Oh, thank you, Dr. Shauna. Thank
Yeah.
you. So good to have this conversation with you.
Yeah. Well, how can people connect with you if they're like, I'm a little bit nervous, or I don't know, I'm a tough case, I'm not sure if you can help me. I know that you've seen it, but how can they get in touch with you?
Sure, that the easiest way would be just to head over to lifeonpurpose.io. You can find out lots more about what I do, and there's an easy button. Just click the link to schedule a chat with me. It's usually fun. It's never scary. Go ahead and take the risk.
Yeah, awesome. And so that your site again is lifeonpurpose.io. So LIFEONPURPOSE.io, not .com, but .io, just so people can find you. I know you got a free energy starter boost starter kit, energy boost starter kit there for people. And just have a chat with Mary. You can see how easygoing she is, how friendly she is, and she can definitely point you in the right direction. So with that, thank you, Mary, for being here.
Oh, thank you. It's been my pleasure.
Awesome. And thank all of you, our listeners, for tuning in. We so appreciate you. And you tune in to our next episode of Health Coach TV. If you have a topic that you're looking to get more information about, pop that in the comments, send us a line, because we would love to highlight some coaches that are addressing those issues that are important to you. So with that, have a fantastic day. And of course, be good for you.